Hey, it's Seth Gardner. I got a really interesting comment recently. Someone asked, what are my thoughts on Project Bluebeam? So if you're not familiar with that, yeah, that's like, there are all these conspiracy theories about like, what if there was like the government or the shadow government, whatever, like what if they faked an alien invasion and tried to like unite the whole earth into like a one world government. And there have been lots of like pieces of fiction written about this premise, and it's based on facts, at least that. So there are like declassified documents and stuff that like get into this, and they kind of almost tried to do it in the past. Like I think it was called Operation Paperclip, where it was like, this is decades ago, it was like they wanted to overthrow Castro, and a plan they had was like they were going to spread rumors around where Castro was, that he was the Antichrist, and use hologram technology to project the image of Jesus and have this like audio or whatever technology where you can make people hear things in their heads, saying Castro is the Antichrist and that they need to overthrow him. And yeah, so there are declassified documents about this, and the reason they didn't do this, if I'm remembering correctly, is because they say in the documents that they were concerned that perhaps they were going to have a helicopter and a submarine projecting the hologram, and they were concerned that they would still be visible, that people might notice. And this is kind of scary to think like, wait, that's the reason they didn't do this? And so like, if a plan's really good, it doesn't go to waste. So it's like, well, are they gonna do this, but like the plan has changed and it's just like gonna be aliens now, like instead? I mean, maybe, I hope not. This sounds like terrifying if they were to try to do something like this. And imagine how much more advanced the tech has gotten if this was decades ago, that if they had this kind of technology. Because like, I remember there's this old TV show from, I don't know, like 15 years or so ago, Conspiracy Theory with Jesse Ventura. You know, Jesse Ventura, the one of the former governors of Minnesota, where he didn't talk about this, but he talked about like people that were getting gang stalked, or they're targeted individuals, and like the technology that could conceivably be used. And a lot of that was freaky, like how it's like to get people to hear voices in their head, it's like, it's not as crazy as that sounds, like, because it's like, it could literally just be like a radio wave or frequency, like that could be beamed, and like, it's like they want to make you hear something, and they point the radio signal at you, and you could hear music in your head or voices, whatever. So it's like, well, yeah, the technology exists. Could they be using it for warfare or, stuff like that? And yeah, so Project Bluebeam, yeah, it's an interesting conspiracy theory that has a lot of documentation behind it. And I guess the general consensus that most people seem to say is that it's going to be aliens now. I don't know why exactly oh no, I guess I do. I was going to say, I don't know why exactly so many people say that, but no, I guess I do. It's because they're pushing the whole outer space thing. You know how I don't believe in outer space, since I'm a flat earther. I don't believe outer space exists whatsoever. I don't believe there's outer space. I think that the earth is flat and there's a big dome covering the earth. And yeah, gravity, I don't believe. I think that's just this relative density. It makes more sense. Like, yeah, gravity doesn't exist. Like, well, what's the old I listed Johnny Appleseed. No, that Isaac Newton, how he came up with gravity. I don't know. I don't even think Isaac Newton ever existed. I think he's just like a fictional character, and he's like kind of like just like a religious figure, like a prophet for like scientism or whatever, people that just follow science or what they claim is science. And the story of Isaac Newton is kind of just like a ripoff of like the Buddha in a way, where it's like he's under a tree and he has this epiphany. Well, it's like a Buddha, you know, meditating under the fig tree, the Bodhi tree, and getting to nirvana and becoming enlightened. So the story of Isaac Newton, it's like a secular ripoff of Buddhism. And gravity, it's just relative density. There's no such thing as gravity in F. Gardner's opinion. It's just relative density. Like, if something's really heavy, it just falls down. Yeah, it's simple as that. You know, just it's based on like the weight and everything like that. And if there's like, yeah, a balloon, it has helium and it flies, like it's just common sense. It's like, that's by far the more plausible explanation to me. And yeah, so anyway, Project Bluebeam. So I guess that's why it suddenly changed to aliens, because they're pushing for aliens in outer space. They're trying to convince people there are aliens and that outer space exists. Oh yeah, the same person that asked me this question about Project Bluebeam, they wanted to know my thoughts on aliens. Well, I don't believe they exist, at least not in the way most people talk about aliens. So alien, like extraterrestrial, that just means extra territory. It could be that they're coming from other continents, like, because I definitely believe there are secret continents that we don't know about, like we know about, but we can't travel to, because you need to go to Antarctica. I think I almost said Alaska. Antarctica, and travel past that, and they won't allow you to. The United Nations and everything, they say no, it's forbidden. You can only go on the like little guided tours if you want to go to Antarctica. So that's because they're trying to hide these continents. And people say all the time, like, oh, what's the motive for that? Well, there's so many different motives. Like, people say, why would they lie? Well, it's like, think about it, if there are all these hidden continents, then that means they're like rich in resources. So like, entire wars are fought over like oil alone. So there you go, just the sheer monetary gain from the oil would be more than enough for them to lie about this. And this is discussed in declassified documents too. Like, yeah. Anyway, aliens though. Yeah. So they could be from just other continents in that sense, and that they're alien in the sense that they're not human. Who knows what they really are? If they're these other civilizations, it's really hard to say if they're what exactly they are. Also, I think it's more plausible that they're coming interdimensionally. So it doesn't need to be just one answer. It could be they're also coming interdimensionally. They're kind of like coming from other continents, and that they're coming from other dimensions. Because, oh yeah, and also maybe even beneath the sea. So like interdimensionally, people talk about like how they'll do DMT or whatever, and like see DMT machine elves, which I talked about numerous times before. Like, those are very real, the DMT machine elves, also known as clockwork elves. So anyway, yeah, I think that's, so you could call those aliens if you want, but they're coming like interdimensionally, or from like within, from like your mind and stuff. One of my books, that I talk about this in quite a number of my books, but yeah, so horror is called my horror novels. I talk about this premise quite a bit. My horror series, it's fiction, but I base a lot of it on like existing conspiracy theories. So like Call the Cradle, for example, I get into this a lot, and how they could be the same things when people talk about gnomes or leprechauns. and like just these like mischievous little elf-like creatures. Yeah, so I think that's more plausible that they're coming interdimensionally, and also beneath the sea, because like this is part of why I don't believe it. One of the many reasons I don't believe outer space exists. They always say like, oh, we found a new galaxy, or we found a new planet, or all these claims, but we don't even know what's in the depths of the ocean. We're always finding giant squids and stuff we didn't know ever existed all the time. So who knows what's down there? There could be civilizations in the depths of the ocean. I don't know. That to me is way more realistic than ours. I don't even believe outer space exists, period. Yeah, a lot of people, like, that's really hard for some people to process. They're like, well, what do you mean outer space doesn't exist? Just because we're taught that from such a young age. But no, F. Gardner doesn't buy that. I do not believe in outer space whatsoever. It could be an interesting thing for fiction. Like, I love Halo. Halo's a really cool video game series. But I understand it's a work of fiction, just as like Narnia is fiction, Harry Potter is fiction. It's not real. Anyway, it's like a fantasy setting. So, yeah, aliens. Yeah, basically, I don't believe in aliens. Not in the way they're defined by most people. I believe that things could be coming interdimensionally, and maybe from the ocean. Don't know. The interdimensionally thing, I think, is by far the most likely, and then, like I said, the secret continents. Yeah, like, 'cause who knows who or what are living on these secret continents? It could be anything, and I guess they would seem very alien to us, certainly, since they're strange and like they might not be human, and, you know. So yeah, those are my thoughts on Project Bluebeam and aliens. So yeah, if all of a sudden F. Gardner looks out his window and I see downtown Chicago there are flying saucers or a giant figure saying they're the Messiah, and like I'm not gonna believe it. I'm gonna think, wait, this is Project Bluebeam. This is already well documented that they're trying to do one or the other for decades, and I don't know, maybe it'll morph into another idea for what they want to do with the hologram technology. Don't know. It's like really freaky stuff, heavy stuff. But yeah, if you go down this rabbit hole, you'll see that, like, yeah, this stuff's pretty well documented, and anyone can read about this. They're declassified documents, so it's not like you need to be a general in the army to know this. Like, anyone can read this and realize themselves that, like, oh yeah, this is pretty well documented and has been for decades, that they want to do this stuff. So that, to me, largely explains like why they're pushing aliens in outer space so much. Maybe they really are planning to do this. I hope not. Anyway, yeah, so if they try to do it, I'm not going to believe it. I'm not going to believe that it's real. I'll know that it's just a hologram or a trick. Yeah, so those are my thoughts regarding Project Bluebeam and what I think aliens really are, that they're coming interdimensionally and from other land, other continents. Yeah, and also around the same time Antarctica was first explored, there were like military vehicles that looked like flying saucers, and that's all of a sudden the same time you started hearing about flying saucers and UFOs. That tells me that, well, this is just technology at the time, and they're trying to make this narrative about outer space and everything. That's well documented too. A lot of people don't want to believe this stuff I'm saying, because it's like they think outer space is exciting and it's cool. Like, whoa, I want to be able to travel to other planets or galaxies in the future. Well, a lot of things that are exciting or cool aren't real, though. Like, you know, I like I said, I like Halo. That's cool. I like Sonic the Hedgehog. those are both fiction. Like, so like someone could be really into Lord of the Rings or whatever, Star Wars, but it's fiction though. Or Harry Potter, it's fiction. Like, so, I mean, I want whatever the truth is. You can enjoy something in like a fantasy or sci-fi setting, but yeah, you need to know how to separate reality from fiction, and, you know, stuff like that. And know what's just fantasy though. That being said, I respect whatever anybody believes. If somebody believes in outer space and disagrees with me, I totally respect what they believe. I just disagree with them about the outer space stuff or whatever. Okay, well, I think that just about concludes it. I think I'll wrap this up. My thoughts on Project Bluebeam and what I think aliens really are. Yeah, good question. Catch everybody later. Bye.